As old as the RTS genre itself, the Command & Conquer series is about to bring its long-running Tiberium saga to a close with its fourth installment, Tiberian Twilight. Featuring a number of sweeping gameplay tweaks, number 4 moves the series in a direction that many fans of the franchise would not expect. The end result is far from traditional, but does it do its lineage right?
I raised you to triumph. I guided you every step of the way.
It seems that even after 3 brutally fought wars, the crisis over Tiberium hasn't gotten any better. In fact, it's gotten a lot worse. The alien mineral continues to spread at an uncontrollable rate, and before long the planet is looking at complete global saturation. At the 11th hour, the near-immortal Cain appears offering a truce and a means to deal with the impending Tiberium threat, but not before radicals from both sides of the fence throw a wrench into the plans, hurling the world into the Fourth Tiberium War.
This is madness.
As the strong but silent protagonist, you'll witness the last thread in the Tiberium saga unravel through high-tech full-motion video. Compared to the star-powered pageantry of the third game, though, 4 strikes a more modest note, with its darker tone and relative cast of unknowns, save the re-emergence of Joe Kukin, who reprises his iconic role as the prophetic Cain for the last time. Revelations abound for anyone invested in the tale, including the grand reveal of Cain's true identity and motives. Though, if you're in it just for the awkward acting and Shatnerian delivery, there's plenty of that too. As a whole, Command & Conquer 4 may carry itself without the farcical self-awareness that made Red Alert famous, but you'll want to buy into every second of this guilty pleasure nonetheless.
This is Colonel Louise James. Due to the gross negligence of our governing parties, I am now declaring martial law.
Enemy units sighted.
True to form, Command & Conquer 4 sticks to convention. Expect a standard selection of solo, skirmish, and multiplayer modes. You'll tackle campaigns from NOD and GDI in equal measure, though the newly added Skrin race from Part 3 is conspicuously missing this time around. The missions themselves won't particularly surprise you. There are convoys to be escorted, forces to be destroyed, and points to be defended as the game tugs you along with its carefully scripted events. At a glance, Tiberian Twilight does what many installments have done in the past, but where the game goes from there turns everything you've come to know about the series on its head.
Advanced electronic video agent online.
For one, base building is dead. Players are allotted a set unit cap at the outset of each match, which is then spent on units that pop out of a new mobile base called the Crawler. Rallying a full-grown army is possible within minutes of deploying onto the battlefield, lending to a significantly faster and more unit-focused playing style than in past games. Comparisons to newer, more streamlined RTS games like World in Conflict and Company of Heroes are certainly founded. Command & Conquer 4 makes some commendable efforts in making the game more accessible, but there are some obvious ramifications for RTS veterans with a particular taste for macro management. Things like structures, harvesters, and tech trees are a thing of the past. The only resource farming to speak of comes in form of crystals that can be spent on a spreadsheet of upgrades.
Accuracy boost done. We've got our range boost setting up.
Some may view Command & Conquer 4's various gambits as sacrilege, but in truth, the game still enjoys a lot of tactical depth and strategy. Careful micro and counter unit response is still at the crux of every heated engagement. The game even makes some daring strides in persistence with a player profile that ranks up through every single mode of play, rewarding your time spent with extra tiers of units and upgrades. This isn't your Pappy's Command & Conquer to be sure, but if you take it for its core elements, then you'll enjoy its fast-paced, hard-fought battles.
I'll take that one. Hurricane coming through.
All of these changes work well with Domination, a node control-style map which serves as Command & Conquer 4's sole multiplayer mode. With equal emphasis on rushing, turtling, and moving around the map, Domination's pace of play perfectly highlights the ideas that the game stresses. As the only multiplayer match type, though, it does get a little stale from time to time, leaving the game's online battle options relatively thin compared to others in the genre.
On it. I'm there. Don't start without me.
It should also be noted that one irksome requirement rears its ugly head: a constant internet connection. Due to the persistent player progression, you'll always need to be online to log whatever headway you've made in the game. It's tempered somewhat by the ability to save and load campaign games should your connection suddenly short out. But for anyone constantly on the move or leery of the growing presence of DRM in PC gaming, it's definitely something to consider.
Break 'em up.
GST repairs 50% complete.
Today you will be judged.
If there's one thing that's particular about the RTS, it's the rigidity. Players live and die by their build order, paying the price or reaping the rewards from a decisive action made multiple steps in the past. Command & Conquer 4 forces no such concerns. A legitimate regiment of forces can be amassed in a flash, owing to the game's pared-down take on base and army building through the single mobile entity known as the Crawler. The rub here is that you get to pick between 3 different crawlers to use in battle, one catered for offense, another defense, and one for support, offering the game's majority of aerial units. It's between these 3 specialties that the vast gamut of GDI and Nod forces are distributed, with classics like the Nod Scorpion tank and Raiders to newly refurnished units like the gargantuan GDI Mastodon. Essentially, you're granted access to 6 different armies in all, along with each individual crawler's respective abilities. Players who roll with defense can lay down bunkers for units to huddle up in, while support users can call in suppressive airstrikes to rain hell on the opposition. Partnering up online with contrasting specialties brings some interesting tactics in battle, and the fact that the destruction of a crawler isn't necessarily the end moves the game past the fatalistic nature of the genre. You can redeploy a new crawler to sub in for a decommissioned or destroyed one. It definitely takes some readjusting, but once you get a handle on the game's twist on the formula, the charm and versatility of its blazing pace and use of crawlers definitely begins to reveal itself.
Furrowed unit detected.
Well done.
Technically speaking, Command & Conquer 4 isn't far removed from the 3rd game in the series released in 2007, but the game still holds up pretty well with its futuristic visuals and presentation. Brilliant salvos of gunfire make each individual unit's presence on the battlefield known, while damaged mechs and vehicles deform with convincing realism. In terms of polish, the game definitely doesn't skimp on the fine details. As for the true star of the show, the FMVs, Tiberian Twilight does the series justice with gratuitous amounts of video bookending each mission in the campaigns. Whether for the somber lighting or the moment of Kane's final curtain call, there's definitely an air of seriousness in what this installment puts forward. It's still Battlestar on a budget, but that doesn't stop it from being just as amusing to watch as ever.
I almost lost you once. Don't put me through that again. Okay. Okay.
We're at your disposal.
Command & Conquer 4 benefits from some genuine effort toward advancing the ever-evolving state of the RTS. But as the last installment in such a storied series, its departures may prove to be a bit too bold for some. Ultimately, Tiberian Twilight is merely a CNC game by association, not the most terrible of fates for an otherwise solid RTS game, but certainly a bittersweet one for the franchise faithful expecting more.
A unit is under attack.